right. Now the only question is if my microphone is working or not. Nobody's watching, so it's kind of hard for me to verify that. Does it show any on here? Oh, man. Hello. Can you hear me? Don't know if anybody can hear me. It's not working. It's not working. All right. You guys can't hear me, can you? You can. Okay. There's this little like on the YouTube. Hi, Tom, by the way. Anyways, on the YouTube stream feed thing, there's this little indicator that's supposed to show that my microphone it's not working. So I don't really have a way to verify whether or not anybody can hear me. But if you can hear me, that's awesome. I'll get this technical stuff figured out one of these days. I seem to be having kind of these issues getting stuff set up, which is not surprising, I guess. Let me just zoom in a little bit on my iPad there. So hi, welcome to the live stream today. I'm going to be working on a sketch. I think I'm probably going to use this as a basis for a painting of Tom, because I've been wanting to do one of him for quite a while, but I've just been kind of busy with stuff. I haven't been able to get to it. As I go along, of course, just feel free to put your comments or questions in the feed here, and I'll try to keep an eye on it. I'll try to answer any questions that pop up and try to interact with you as best I can. One of these days, if I keep doing this, I should try to set up something that's like a Discord server or something where people could chat with me. Probably be a little more fruitful and productive and easier for you guys. For you all. But yeah, so I thought it might be fun, a couple of things here to demonstrate. One thing would be fun for you to be able to see kind of how I Frankenstein together photos of actors that I use in my pieces. So in this case, I've got Tom, and I've got two photos basically. You can tell that the lighting is different, right? So the light in this photo is coming from this direction. It looks like a natural light, but it's probably a stage lighting or something. And then this one, it's shot with sort of a direct light. I mean, this is obviously out of focus. This is the head from this piece, this photo. And so I've just brought in a second instance of his face that I feel more confident to use in rendering him. And then kind of Frankenstein it on top of his body. I also kind of liked his crazy jacket lapels here, which I think will be nice for a nice sort of cue point actually for Tom's cloak. And so I'm going to work with that. But then I've also got this photo of myself because obviously his hand is super blurry. And the scene that I kind of wanted to depict here was when he first meets, I believe it's Matt and Rand, and they're in the two rivers. And he kind of starts being a gleeman to the people in front of the inn. And I think in the text, he's actually jumps up on like a foundation or a brick or a stone wall or something. So he's a little bit raised up and he's kind of juggling and telling some stories and doing stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to have him juggling some balls here and then show another ball that he's going to add to his juggling. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get into it here. I'll start chopping this up and trying to piece it together over here so you can kind of see how I go through that process. So basically, I just make sure that I'm on the layer with my photo reference that I take pieces out of. I've got this horrible old farm jacket on, which I'm obviously not going to use, but I wanted to use or wear something that at least gave me an indication of some of the folds, because yeah, I'm going to need that. So I just start by like isolating whatever it is I want to use from the photo. In this case, it's just my arm. And I'll just copy it and paste it onto a new layer. I should just hit copy paste. This is how I work. I'll throw it on here. And I'm going to have to move that layer over, I see. I'll just kind of shuffle things over here a bit. So probably something like that looks about right. You can see in my photo of me, like my hand from sort of fingertip to palm is like a little bit bigger than my head, right? If I go like this and sort of measure, it's just like a little bit larger than my head. I probably have a smaller head than he does, maybe, I don't know. It's never an exact science, right? But try to get kind of like a rough approximation that seems to make sense. So maybe about there. Seems to make sense sort of scale-wise. Because it is sticking his arm forward at the viewer, so coming forward. I think I have a longer neck than he does too. I've got a fairly long neck. As far as necks go. I think that'll work. So I'm just going to erase some of this out here because I like how his jacket goes. But I will keep kind of this as a reference, sort of where the jacket hangs here, because when you put your arm out, your jacket comes more out. And of course, he's going to be wearing a cloak too, which I was going to have sort of buttoned in the front here and then coming over the back on this side. And then on this side, of course, he's going to be juggling. So I'm going to take this arm, and I kind of thought it'd be like super awesome if he was juggling without really looking at his juggling. It's like super pro. So just put that here. So basically, I'm just going to measure kind of his elbow to his shoulder is about there. So that looks about right. I'll throw that there. And then again, like this, I'm not going to use that. And also this hand, I might have to reshoot new reference for that when I get down to painting, just because it's pretty blown out with the wind behind it there. Copy that, I guess. Let's see, I'm going to have to delete a layer. I've got this file is huge. And maybe it doesn't need to be that big. One of the limitations of Procreate is that when you get your file too large, it'll limit the amount of layers that you can use. Not like Photoshop. Photoshop kind of gives you like infinite layers. And Procreate kind of throttles it. There may be, I haven't researched it. I'm wondering if there may be a way to override that. If you can like sort of force your graphics or whatever to push past that. I'm not sure. So I feel like that's a little too small. Probably better there. Just looking at his hand. And then as I go, I'll put some other things that he's juggling here. I kind of imagined. I know in the book he has like I think five balls that he's juggling. And what I'll probably do too, and I haven't done this yet, I should have done this before the stream started, but once I get into painting, I'll probably go and reference some stuff for juggling, and then just look at some jugglers, some videos of jugglers and stuff, so that I can get a better feel of the sort of flow of objects when you're juggling. So I'm not a professional juggler. I'm not any kind of a juggler. Hey, Meteor Droid, welcome. Awesome. Okay, so there's this is going to be like my photo reference. Now, obviously, like what I'll probably do, just for my sanity, actually, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to erase some of this out here. But give me a sort of an idea. And I'm going to flat sort of merge these down. Before I do that, I'm going to actually erase my scribbles here. Whoops. Okay. Can't erase all of them. It doesn't matter. Get rid of those. And merge that down. So this would be what I would work from. And I actually probably, what I would typically do, the reason I kept this photo here is because when I get down to painting, like I said, I want to understand the shadows on his face. And it's going to be a little bit of extrapolation for me because this is pretty blurry, but I'm going to use it as a guide sort of in terms of deepening shadows and face this for reference in my painting. But this gives me sort of 2 points of reference. I can sort of understand how the light falls on his face. But what I would do is I would take this out and put it on a separate layer. And only because it just, I don't know, it can get cluttered. I try to kind of get it to as little visual noise as I can as my reference. And sometimes I'll even do a little bit of painting on my reference if there's something that I want to see specifically. Like, for example, on the low gain piece that I did, I painted in kind of some, and I ended up changing it in the end, but I kind of painted in basically like a halo around his head and kind of played around with it, thought I might want the composition to feel like. And it doesn't have to be set in stone, but it's sometimes can get me started in the direction that I want to go in. Just give my brain a little bit of information. So I would cut that. So now I've got kind of like a concrete piece. And what I will do with this, because just for my own, so I don't get it as confused, is just kind of get rid of this hand a little bit, because it feels a bit distracting for me. And I know that there's shadow, there should be shadow here based on what I'm seeing in the rest of the photo. I'm going to switch this brush. This is ridiculous. All right. So like I said, if you have questions, just post them in the text there, and I'll try to elaborate on anything that anybody wants to kind of know more details or anything. So I somehow seem to mess things up all the time with this live stream. I'm going to try to get my technical stuff better. Yeah, it looks like the link is different. I'm actually, if you don't mind, I'm just going to really quickly go onto Twitter and resend the link out. Yeah. All right, live streaming now. Twitter, and I'll just do Facebook quick too. Sorry guys, bear with me. I don't know why the technical stuff is seems so like complicated for me. I'm sure it'll get easier as I do it more. But I guess my fear was that people couldn't hear me because of the microphone. The preview and the live stream feed wasn't working, and so I didn't know if people could hear me. But you guys can, so we're good. And I guess probably my original one, people could hear me too, but I didn't know. I was afraid. Fear's the path to the dark side in live streaming. So this is going to be different because he's going to be wearing a cloak. But so this would be like the photo reference that I would start from for a piece, typically, right? This is kind of like basically what I would have to work from. And this is a challenge. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this sketched in the hour that I have here to do this. It's already 20 after 4. But I'm going to start now, and we'll see how far I can get in like 40 minutes. So time to dive in. And usually I'll start with just a sketching pencil. And get like the structure laid in as quickly as I can. Do you guys hear stuff in the background? It's my family. My fam is home. My wife's actually, I think, going to be coming into the studio here in a bit. She does not want to be on camera. Well, she wouldn't be on camera. She doesn't even want to talk. I told her I would get her talking to you guys, but she's like, no, don't. So, kind of funny. All right, so let's go. Sort of my standard process here for building a head. I don't know why I got so many lines here. I think I was talking and just scribbling. But just get this mapped in. I still have a lot of growing to do with seeing, and I mentioned that last time on my live stream. Stuff like this is such a great exercise for me. It really, really pushes me in terms of my capacity and what I'm drawing, because I just feel still like a pretty lack of confidence with stuff. I guess I'll put a question out to everybody who's viewing right now. Just if you want to just jump into the chat there. I'm curious how many of you that are watching are also artists or like trying to be artists. Like, do you do art? Do you do it on a regular basis? What kind of stuff do you do? I'm curious about that. Kind of curious, like, who is interested in these live streams where I'm kind of doing these drawings. I'm just curious if it's just like you're fans of Wheel of Time, or you actually are, wanting to learn some more for your own creative practice, or just get some kind of like insights into different people's processes. So if you guys want to just chime in on the chat there, that'd be awesome. It'll help me know that you can hear me and I'm not losing my mind. So he's going to have this super patchy cloak going over his shoulders. Don't really practice art. So start painting again. So you did used to do art? Was it something that you just as a hobby, or was it something you did a bit of training for? This is tricky. This elbow's going to be on my super foreshortened. So this is a tricky pose because there's quite a bit of foreshortening in here, which can be challenging to get it to feel natural. But I like that. I think it'll feel dynamic, which is cool. One of the things that I kind of became aware of this week, I was working on a. Oh, great. Thanks, Tom. You're here because of Wheel of Time? Yeah, doodles. That's cool. So you used to draw in high school. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, pottery. Nice. That's cool. I took a little bit of pottery in high school too. It was actually because I was really interested in this girl, but I did enjoy the pottery class too. It was fun. I ended up trying to do sculpture with it instead of like the actual pottery stuff. It was just kind of more my interest, I guess. Curious why people sort of stop drawing. What is it that? Because I feel like when we're kids, we all draw. We're all sort of like kind of innately creative, I feel. And then at a certain point, a lot of people just stop drawing. And I kind of wonder about that. Like, I sort of think it's my impression or my thoughts are that it's kind of like a byproduct of self-awareness. And at some point, we kind of realize like we start to compare ourselves. And I did a video a while back on my YouTube channel, and it's something I talked to young artists and stuff about. And it's something that I still fall into the trap of too, where we really compare ourselves to other people, especially in this day and age with social media and everything. It's hard to not fall into that trap. And especially like there's so many great artists out there right now, and it's hard to feel adequate. I've actually been struggling with a lot of feelings of inadequacy lately, not just in my art, but like I think in general. And I think partly it's maybe a byproduct of everything that's been going on with COVID and everything else, and feeling, I guess, a bit anxious about providing for my family and stuff. And but I think there's like, I think that with art, we sort of at some point are just like, I can't do this, or there's like a tendency where it's like we can't produce what's in our head really easily, and so we feel maybe that we're like just not adequate. Oh, my camera died. It says it's connecting. You guys, is it frozen? The video is frozen. You hear me though, hey? Yeah, I don't know. My camera for some reason has said that it's disconnected. Darn it. Let's see here. What can I do? I'm going to try to, I wonder if I refresh the feed, if it will just boot me out of this live stream. Let's see, I'm just going to unplug this and plug it back in. Oh. Sorry, everybody. Just 1 second here. I'll keep the stream on because I don't want to crash the stream, this stream, and then have to relink everything. Let's see. Yeah, it's supposed to be connecting with. Technical problems. Frustrating. It's trying to connect, but it's not working. No, that's not what I want. Took me to a video of how to set this up. No. Interesting. I wonder if I'm going to try switching my cable. That's too bad. Thanks everybody for coming. If this doesn't work, I appreciate you guys coming. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I might have to, I don't know, find some money somehow to invest into actual webcam. I'm using my iPhone. There's an app that allows you to turn your iPhone into a webcam, which worked great last time. This time it's not, for some reason it's not connecting. I'm uncertain as to why. Or it was. Let's see, switch it to automatic. All right, it's back. Interesting. Well, we'll see. I switched the connection method from USB to automatic. Okay. All right, well, let's keep going and see what happens. If you guys, if it freezes again, just chat something in the stream there, because I'm not looking at the back of my camera, so I won't know if it's frozen. I don't know how long it was frozen for. There, so yeah. Anyways, I think I was talking about artists, art, and creating, and just how we stop creating at a certain point. And I think it's a byproduct of comparison. And I think, like I said in a video I did, I kind of said that comparison is like the thief of joy. It kind of steals our enthusiasm for stuff. I've known a lot of people who are extremely talented, and they had a lot of natural ability with art, but they just stopped. They stopped creating, and I've kind of talked about that before too. I think there's like a little bit, and I know a lot of people have said the same thing. I think there's like a little bit of a, if things are too easy, you can kind of give up on it. And there's something like about this sort of risk and reward thing, where if things are too easy, our minds we don't get that sort of like energy bump of spike of completing something or doing something well. It's sort of like, yeah, whatever, this is too easy, boring. So I don't know about you guys, but I always imagine Thom with his hair kind of back, but like messy. And I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if I've seen like other drawings of him with his hair like that or something, and I'm like, that's just how to picture him now. But I kind of imagine this sort of like pulled back, crazy mop of like gray or white hair kind of coming off the back, like a little bit bonkers hair. It's kind of how I imagine. I actually kind of want to have, I wonder if I can have him in a little bit of a wind here, so his cloak kind of is billowing out a bit. Maybe give me a chance to show off some of the patchwork too. And he's got this jacket with these like large sleeves. What do they call it? What is the book called? Robert Jordan used a word, and I was like, what the heck does that mean? All right, this is your, if you want, this is your, while you're listening to live stream homework, go find out the word that Thom used to describe, or Thom, that Robert Jordan used to describe Thom's jacket sleeves in The Eye of the World when he meets the Two Rivers crew. In my brain, it's spalacious, but I don't even think that's a word. I think I'm making that up. It's not. Anyways. But anyways, it was obviously it didn't stick. It's a word that I didn't know, and I still don't know. Hi. You missed all the technical difficulties. Leaves of the wheel. Welcome. I was having some technical problems here, so I'm a lot behind where I want to be. So Thom's cloak. This is going to be what how much I get done here today is going to be loose. I'm going to have to do probably some extra sketching and some research in order to get his cloak where I want it to be. My first pass, oh, my aunt is texting me. 90% of the time, my first pass on stuff that I'm drawing is like garbage. I almost feel like a writer, how their first pass, the first draft of their writing is like garbage. It's like they say, and I've experienced that when I tried to write some stuff with my novels and stuff. I think Stephen King in his book said the first pass is a pile of shit or something like that. It's like really bad. This hand is too big. And so, yeah, like my first pass on my sketches, I'm always like, I do it and then I always feel that it takes me a number of sort of revision rounds before I feel that I'm happy with where it's going. And I'll sometimes rework a sketch 3 or 4 times, even though I have the composition of what I want from my photo reference. I might redraw this photo reference a couple times in this sketch until I feel happy. And then even when I'm painting after the fact, that will sometimes I'll repaint and change and manipulate and tweak stuff. You can see in my videos that speaking of, so the Weaves of the Wheel community, you guys are awesome. And there's been a little bit of back and forth between us on social media this week. I really appreciated you sort of commenting on how you appreciated me talking about you in my video, my process video for Min, the Min painting. It was really sweet and kind of you. But the unfortunate thing from my perspective was that the video, the spot in the video where I'm talking about you guys is like scary because Min doesn't have a mouth. She almost looks like, I don't know if you remember the first, it was like Wolverine, I think, the Wolverine Weapon X movie or whatever it was, and it was Deadpool was in it, but he was like a really weird version of Deadpool, and he basically didn't have a mouth, which is really funny because he's like kind of called the Merc with the mouth. But anyways, she didn't have a mouth at the stage of the painting that I was in because I was like painting and I was really frustrated and I just basically painted over her mouth. So she was like scary. She looked really scary at that stage. I actually forgot that I had done that when I saw the video. I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrifying. What have I done? All right, so, but I'm happy with how that piece turned out. So. It was a fun collaboration with Jessica. She's really cool. She's working on costumes for her and her husband. She's a seamstress. She does sewing and stuff. It's really cool. Neat. I'm actually starting a commission maybe tonight, a new commission work. I'm really actually very excited about it. So it's kind of fun because the person that wants me to do it, well, it was nice that you shared it, and I do appreciate you guys. It's been really fun, and you guys keep kind of prodding me to join the. I just don't have. It's like I can't join the role playing as much fun as I know I would have doing it. I just don't have. Right now I just can't get to it. I would let you all down because I'd be like, yeah, let's do this, and then I wouldn't be able to follow through. So it would kind of suck. I would feel bad, and it wouldn't be. It just would end up not being as good as enjoyable as it should be. Anyways, the commission that I'm working on, or they're going to be working on right away. The commissioner, I don't know what do I call you guys who commission me? It's fun. Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Joseph. Yeah, long coat had odd baggy sleeves and big pockets. Yes. Are you looking at the text like I asked you to? That's cool. I forgot that his coat was long. Thank you. I was going to draw him in this cool like 1998 jacket or whatever it is, 2010, 2012 Reitman's collection. No, Reitman's is a ladies' store. I don't know. I'm all over the map here. What was I saying? Oh, the commission. So yeah, it's going to be super cool. You know, Darryd, I don't know how you properly say his name, but in the Fires of Heaven, there's the big battle at King. Spoiler alerts for everybody who hasn't read the books. I often just blabber on about stuff that I like about the books, and I don't consider people that haven't read them. So I apologize if you are on my stream or you're watching this video. I'll just say right now, after the stream, once it's loaded, I tend to spoiler everything indiscriminately. I'm an indiscriminate spoiler, and that's just how it is because I like to talk about stuff. So just if you don't want to get spoiled, then I don't know, proceed with caution. I'm like bad for that, and I don't like stop and talk about when I'm going to spoil stuff, so I apologize. Anyways, in the Fires of Heaven, there's a big battle in Camelin, and Darryd is in charge of like, well, Matt's trying to run away from everything, and then I don't know if it's Taviran or what, but he ends up kind of like looped back into everything, and he ends up kind of hanging out with Talmanis and Darryd. Anyways, the gentleman that's commissioning me wants a painting of Darryd during the Battle of Camelin, commanding pikemen and stuff. It's going to be like crazy, intense, epic, challenging piece. I don't even know where I was going with that. But anyways, I'm super excited about, why was I don't know why I started talking about that, but I'm very excited about working on that commission. It's going to be really cool and interesting because it's not like the main characters, though I might have Matt in the scene, maybe in the background or something, because he is present at one point with Darryd on the battlefield. So I think I might do the point of the conflict where they're together, because I think that'd be pretty fun to explore. Just have him as like a secondary character in the piece. And this will be the first like large, intense kind of combat scene that I will have taken on, and I'm very intimidated about it, but I think it's going to be a very, very good challenge and something that's going to help me grow to take on. So I'm excited about it. It's great. Kind of cool when someone commissions you to do something like that and it's not really on your radar, but then you got to do it. So that's cool. His cloak seemed a mass of patches in odd shapes and sizes, patches in 100 colors. Yeah, it was really quite thick, with the patches merely sewn on like decorations. Yeah. So I'm curious about that. I know like a lot of people, when they draw his cloak, they draw it. See, the one thing I got to do a little bit of research. The one thing I don't know is how cloaks are clasped. What I probably will do is just have like this side of the cloak ends like this with a buckle, like a big buckle. And then it's sort of like, or you know what? There's those like I don't know the proper terminology, but it's like a loop basically somehow that fits the cloak. I'll probably do something like that. Kind of feel like a circle would fit a gleeman, kind of like a hoop, or like referencing these juggling balls or whatever. Something circular, anyways. I feel like it fits. And yeah, so his cloak. I've always kind of imagined that his cloak was more like just, I don't know, for probably because of where I grew up, but in Alberta here, and I know in some areas in the States too, people my age have, like, my grandparents always had these like really comfy, super heavy, like heavy in weight quilts, patchwork quilts, because that was like a pastime, and like there's like quilting clubs and stuff like that. And my grandma had these like really big, heavy quilts, but they're like patchwork, right? So it's like a quilt with just like a grid, and then like patches, different colors and textures of fabric, and like maybe like, little embroidered flowers like sewn into them. And that's kind of how I always imagine it. I know I see a lot of people who paint or draw Thom's cloak as like patches, but then like flaps kind of sticking out. What do you guys think? Flat patches or flap patches? So in the text, just type in flap or flat. I'm curious what you, in your mind, when you hear it described, what do you see? Bunch of like ribbony fabric? Yeah. Thick mustache. Totally. I always imagine his mustache being long, like droopy. And I think there might be some references to that in the text too, like more of a droopy, kind of dangly, droopy mustache. Maybe I'm wrong. His forehead goes a lot higher here than I got it. Again, so if you guys watched my live stream last time I did this, a week and a half ago, I think it was, or maybe 2 weeks now. I've got one vote for flat. Thank you. Come on, guys, where's your votes? Flat or flap? What's it? What is it? Last time I did a live stream, I talked about how I have these weird tendencies when I'm drawing people's faces. And one of them is to make their face, the person's face, more like this, divided kind of like this, with the eyes too high on the forehead. And then I often have like this really long chin mouth area. I don't know why. Flap, flap. It does say the patches were fluttering with every breath of air. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe that's why the patches were fluttering with every breath of air. That to me feels like they are, at least some of them, flappy. Flappy Thom. That's what we call him, Flappy Thom. That's probably what they call him in near Tarn Ferry. Flappy Thom. Flaps around the shoulders, maybe, yeah, or down the arms. See, I never imagined that his cloak goes on his arms. I always imagined it as like a cloak that he like can wrap, more like this kind of a cloak. Like if he's wearing it, it's like a cloak, like a cape with a hood that he could put on. That's kind of how I always imagined it. And then when he's performing, he kind of throws it back. Maybe it's like my Doctor Strange-ish idea in my head. I've always kind of felt he'd be like kind of similarly garbed as like Doctor Strange. I don't know. And maybe because Doctor Strange does all these like cool, like tricky, kind of tricksy stuff, that there's like a similarity there. And he's like wise and clever and all that stuff. Maybe, I don't know. But I imagined his jacket underneath. I don't like these big cargo pockets. I got to figure out pockets for him too. But I always imagine his jacket underneath his cloak, and then like kind of a white silky kind of nicer shirt, and like a big kind of wide, almost like cummerbund waist thingy. Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of how I always imagined the cloak being. So this one's going to be, last time I did this, last live stream, I kind of took the piece to sort of like a finished portrait. I'm probably not going to get there because I'm sketching the figure in, like the body and stuff, because I want this to be sort of the basis for another painting, like a finished painting. So you're getting a little bit of a glimpse of kind of how I start my paintings. At least how I do my like early stages kind of research for my paintings. I'm gonna switch here to a different brush because I want to work a little quicker. Whoops. So I kind of want the cloak billowy here on this side, billowing out. Lapels over the shoulders with 3 arms. He pictured his mustache curled up, so more like this kind of a deal. That's pretty cute. I'm not sure why I always imagined like a 1800s prospector mustache, one that kind of droops down. I don't mind the curl up. I think that's kind of cool. He has some. You think he waxes it? You think? Maybe. I mean, he is pretty particular. I think he comes across as fairly particular about things. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Enneagram personality tests. I kind of imagine him as sort of like almost like a 1, like somebody who's like very, very particular and perfectionistic with his performing, and kind of gets like mad if things aren't right or the way he wants them to be. It's like very, very particular, persnickety, and almost like snooty about it, which I guess is like understandable. He is an expert, a master, right? So, hi Veronica, Sawana. I should have asked that question off the start too, because I didn't think about it. Sawana, it's good to have you here. Yeah, because Elaine tugged on his. That's right. Elaine she would always tug on it. I mean, she could tug on his mustaches anyway, whichever way they were. But I think that's maybe part of it, is like kind of imagining them kind of like dangling down, so she could kind of pull him down. And then he would be like, ow, and his face would kind of droop. That's getting a little crazy there. I like both. I think I'm going to do something in the middle, dangly down with curly at the bottom. That's kind of where I think I will sit. So what I'm going to do here now, this is very loose. And so like I said, this stuff here, like all this stuff is going to change and change and change. I need to get better at being concise and quick with my work. I am not there yet. So oftentimes what happens is I iterate and sort of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe I need to do more. Maybe I'm just doing the sketching on the page instead of prior to like the character design on the page prior to the actual working on the project, the piece. So maybe I'm just like skipping a step, and then it kind of comes back to bite me in terms of the expediency at which I work when I'm in the file. That could be because I don't spend near enough time with these, and it's probably just a byproduct of me being overly busy. I don't spend enough time sketching in my sketchbook to prepare myself for these pieces. I sort of like get my photo reference together and then jump in and just go for it. And it's come back to bite me in the butt a few times. So yeah, a guy should learn, but you know what? It's tough. I think I've shared with you guys before. I run a business doing animation work. That's like my day-to-day. And that's like a full-time gig. That's how I make money for my family. And I've got two wonderful, beautiful kids. They're 15 and 13. I've got an amazing wife who is also very passionate. She's an artist and a horseback riding instructor and trainer. And life is demanding. It's busy. And so all this stuff is like my quote-unquote hobby, spare time. And you know, I also love Dungeons and Dragons, and I've been running some campaigns. Well, a campaign for some friends of mine for a couple of years now. Been kind of trying to do that as regularly as we can. I've been playing D&D with some friends of the family as well, and my son, and that takes up time, and just like all these hobbies and stuff. I'm fairly involved at with my church too. I try to stay involved there. Keeps me busy. So life, and I live on an acreage, which is very demanding too. So it's a lot, but so this stuff is kind of, I try to fit it in. My family's really understanding, and they try to make accommodations for me so I can work on this stuff because I'm passionate about it. It's fun. I'm just looking at the questions here. The rest of my family, do they like Wheel of Time? You know what? They don't care. It's really sad. I've tried to get my wife to read the Eye of the World. She's not a fantasy fan. She doesn't like books. She really, I might be able to get her to watch the show when it comes out. And then maybe after seeing that, she'll be interested to read the books. When The Lord of the Rings came out, I dragged her kicking and screaming to The Lord of the Rings. She tried to read the books before and she just couldn't get into it. She's like, there's just too many names and places and stuff that's just weird and I don't get it. And she can't so she says she can't mentally visualize the places and creatures and environments and stuff. She just says her mind doesn't kind of work that way from a creative perspective. And so she just finds it kind of like an exercise of frustration trying to keep track of everything and everybody, and drives her a bit crazy. So that's what she says. But yeah, sadly, I haven't been able to get her to read yet. My kids haven't read yet. I tried to get my son it'd be too much for him right now. He's been reading right now he's reading stuff like Wings of Fire, which is like a kid's dragon story, more like targeted at kids. And anyways, things like he's really into that series right now. And my daughter is kind of following in the footsteps of my wife. She's reading like some intense historical dramas right now about World War II and concentration camps and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys. I just want to, when I read things, I want to like escape the horrors of the world, not like revisit them. And I know it's important to pay respects and recognize everything that people have gone through and suffered through. And I'm not trying to diminish that in any way, shape, or form. I think maybe it's just it's a lot. I almost can't mentally process it when I really stop and think about some of the horrors and stuff that go on in the world and have gone on in the world. So I try to keep my entertainment light, or let's see here. The hand without the ball is bent on another angle, not like the foot. I should take a look at that. You're probably right. This is really, really loose right now and confusing. Let's see. What do we got here? Yeah. It's kind of surprising to me how like it's higher than I imagined too. But yeah, that's pretty wonky. I can make adjustments here. And like this is where it's kind of like my process is a little bit like whittly, like I whittle away at stuff, kind of like chip away. I had it when I was a younger man in my like I think it was my early 20s. I went to this like trade show. Part of the problem is this photo's kind of blurry. It's like I said, I might need to take new photo reference for that hand. Anyways, I went to this trade show with my family, and there was a guy there who was a sculptor, and he worked in clay. And my parents were like, "Man, our son is an artist," and I had my sketchbook with me on our trip, and I was like, "Oh, you guys, like, just leave me alone. I don't want to." They're like, "Show him your work. Show him." Your... So, anyways, I showed him my sketchbook, and he's like, "Wow." He's like, "You should try sculpture because." It's like he said, the way you work, it's like a sculptor. It looks like a sculptor because it's like kind of heavy. I'm kind of heavy-handed, and like I'll often throw down way too much pigment and way too much color, and then sort of like try to work at it and muscle it into some kind of sense. So I don't know if you're familiar with art too much, but if you look at my work, you can kind of see there's a bit of like a heavy-handedness to stuff, and I'm trying to get better at it. Trying to get better at not doing that. It's like I said last time on the live stream, I was talking about Greg Manchess, who does like these beautiful paintings, and they're just so economical. His brush strokes and stuff are so economical and clean and simple. And I'd like to get more comfortable with that kind of an approach. Just a little more mileage out of my strokes instead of I often just will rework areas because it's again, it comes back to sort of a lack of it just reveals my level of understanding and knowledge, which I still need. It, I guess reminds me that I need to develop more, and that's just what it is. That's what it is. It's okay. So looking at this, if he was wearing a cloak, you can kind of see the turn of his shoulders here. The upper part, the hand without the ball, the upper part. I don't know. Does this look better? I don't know. I'll keep working at it. It's kind of got like knuckle, knuckle over knuckle. That one's a tiny bit lower, so yeah, it'll take a bit of whittling. Hey, Lauren. Welcome to the stream. You missed all the technical problems. I should talk to you and Matt. You guys are pros at all this live streaming stuff, technical stuff. I seem to be having issues. Well, I've only done this twice. Both times I feel like there's been issues, but yeah, anyways, I was going to say, in regards to him, his body position, you can see like his shoulders are here and here, which puts his clavicle probably here, the center of his clavicle, and his chest would be something like this. The rib cage would come up. The spine would be here, right? And if I was going to draw his pelvis, would be something like this, probably. Hip joints, hip joints. And sometimes, like, I don't always do this, but sometimes it can help to sort of like just try to visualize the physical structure of the components of the body, right? Just break it down into its components, its pieces. And that'll help me just understand what I'm looking at and what I'm trying to render. So right now I can see like if the center of his clavicle is here, his neck would come here, probably like that. But like on mine, I've kind of put his shoulders, like his shoulders are not quite right. This one's a little bit, this one probably needs to come up a little bit. And then this one maybe needs to drop a little bit. Just kind of that twist of the body. And then this, whatever it ends up being, the clasp for his cloak, needs to move over a little bit, probably. Ugh, this is one of the things I don't like about Procreate's transformation tool is a bit wonky to fiddle with. I'll just zoom in. But probably more like there, I would say. That would be more of an accurate representation of the sort of line of his body. And then the center of his shirt would also be, if you look at his, if this is his spine, and this is his clavicle, or his sternum, right here. That's too big of a sternum. It comes a little bit. Anyways, then his belly button would be here, and then the belt buckle would be there. So it's like just kind of past where his head would be. So this would be like the center of his pants. So there, that would be kind of like the structure. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Matt. You're working on animating fetuses. Yeah, great. It sounds like the stuff of nightmares. Can't draw at all, much less people. Brian, well, I think that like trees are fun to draw. Yeah, I think everybody can. I've said this before. I think everybody can draw, and it's just a matter. It's just like everything else. It's a skill, right? A lot of people will say, "Oh, you're so talented," right? Like there's sort of this perception that art is a raw talent that either you have or don't have, which is not true. It's a developed skill. And like I've said it before, I think I said it on my last live stream, everybody has an innate level of natural talent. And then after that, it's work. It's how much work you put into it, just like anything else. So whether you're like an athlete or a public speaker or whatever, it's all like developing that underlying capacity. If you're a channeler, you know, as long as the taint has been cleansed and you're channeling, you're going to be okay. You're not going to go mad, but you can learn to like channel and like to use your skills better. So that's kind of how I look at it. Drawing is just a skill, and like tools are just tools. Like this digital stuff is just a tool set. If I was doing this in traditional media, I'd have just a bit more. This would be like one of many sketches on a whole bunch of different pieces of paper, right? Because you've seen me just kind of like redo and rework stuff over and over again here. It's like kind of chaos. But that's like my process. I'm kind of like a chop and hack away at things. That's how I kind of work at it. But it's, yeah, so I'm just trying to think of how I would have the cloak. I think I want to see some of it on both sides of him a little bit. So for those who have kind of joined late, I'll just give you a little bit of like info here. So this piece, this sketch that I'm doing, last week when I was on my live stream, I did like a finished sketch of a face, well, rough, like a closer to finished sketch of a face. This week I wanted to do just kind of like a layout sketch, more of a layout sketch for a new piece. Like I want to do a piece with Thom in it. And I wanted to kind of work up the sketch so that I'll, you know, when I get time, I'll be able to kind of dive in and push it to a finished painting. So that's kind of what I was working on today, was getting this rough, sort of the rough sketch work done for this piece. And I'll be developing it over the next weeks or whatever. I do, like I said, I have a commission that I need to work on, and those always take priority over my own stuff. So I'll be diving into that. It's going to be a super complex piece, so I might be not be able to get this one out as quick as I normally would, because I'm going to be investing time into that commission work, which I'm really excited about it. So let's see, I'm just checking the feed here. I like watching other people draw too. It's fun. I always learn something too. Yeah. So Anna, I saw your art. It was brilliant. Fun to draw. It's nice. It's nice if people are fun to draw. I had some models in college that weren't so fun to draw. They were not because of their physique. They were just strange, really weird, strange experiences. Is Thom more challenging than other characters? No, I don't think so. I mean, the thing is, I find every character has been challenging for me, because it's kind of like we talked about, right? Like I have this idea in my head of what I want what I think the characters look like, and now I'm working with actual reference of people, and so it's a little bit like an exercise of divorcing my mind from what I see or what I want to see to what I actually see. And but that's the case with every portrait, right? Every portrait kind of presents this challenge of like what's actually there, not what I have in my head, right? And so Thom's fun. I mean, his costume is kind of going to be kind of complex and challenging, I think, because I want to make sure I capture the cloak really well, and you know, just make sure that all these, he's got a lot of layers, right? He's got his cloak, he's got his long jacket, which I'm going to have to do a little bit more reference, I think, or yeah, find some more reference for that. I'm not really honestly clear on what that looks like right now. His big pockets and stuff. I'm having a bit of a hard time imagining that. So I need to see it to be able to wrap my head around it. So that, I think his costume is going to be a bit challenging, but I'm up for it. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be cool. And yeah, so what I said to people that kind of joined earlier was that I kind of wanted this to be a picture of Thom when he first meets the Emmons Fielders in front of the wine spring inn, and he's yeah, he's like starts juggling and talking, telling some stories and stuff, and being like all gleaming. And I just kind of, I love that scene, and I kind of wanted to do something that sort of depicts that. And if I get brave enough, I might, you know, what I might do if I get brave enough is I would shrink this down and draw like the rest of him standing on, I feel like in the story he was standing on a wall, and then the inn was behind him, and I do a whole piece. But I don't know. I'm undecided, and that you guys are probably gonna be like, yeah, do it. Well, you know what? It's my time, not yours. Let's see here. Oh, you guys are busy in the chat here. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of these questions or anything. Yeah, I'll hit you up for Sawana. I'll bug you for some tips on his mustache. Facial hair master that you are. Hey, MK. Yeah, do it. I knew you would say do it. Yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I sort of chicken out. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I sort of chicken out because of time and commitments. But I really enjoyed kind of pushing myself. Like I with that last piece I just posted with Perrin and Hopper, I kind of tried to push the background on that because I wanted to stretch myself a bit. There's an artist that I really like, and he kind of talks about his early process while he was kind of honing his skills about basically like trying to add 10%. Every time he would do a project, he would try to do something 10% more challenging or 10% more complex or whatever. And so I'm trying to kind of adopt that attitude. This next commission that I'm going to be working on is like 90% more challenging than what I'm used to. It's going to be super complex, but if I can pull it off, it's going to be amazing, you guys. It's going to be really cool, and I think we'll be very, very well received in the community. I think you guys will be really excited about it. I'm like, the idea of doing it, and if I can do it well, it makes me excited. It's going to be a really, really cool piece for my portfolio. And I think, whoops, I think sometimes it's good to just be pushed outside of your comfort zone. And in this case, it's a commission, so I'm collaborating with somebody, and they're pushing me with what they want, right? So that's cool. It's fun. So I'm gonna wrap it up here pretty soon. I kind of want to just get his eyes a little more and his nose a little more defined here, because I feel at this point there's a bit of ambiguity going on here, and it doesn't quite feel like him yet. But I kind of want to leave it on a note where you guys are like, oh yeah, I can see him. I can see it. It's coming. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time here on his features. So sorry if you're saying, if there's stuff going on in the chat, I apologize. I'm kind of going to be focused here for a minute. This is the challenge of an artist. That's why I think it would be better if I could set up Discord or something and have you guys talking. I don't know, but that could be chaos too. I don't know. And I don't have like a helper yet to kind of like sit and ask me questions through the feed while I work. I could probably recruit my kids for that if I really wanted to. I'm not sure how keen they would be, but I could bribe them maybe somehow. The kids aren't very bribable. I don't know if it's like a generational thing. Kids these days can't be bribed. When I was a kid, I could be bribed easily. Now they got access to everything that they ever wanted. There's nothing I can bribe them with. They don't even have to wait. They don't even have to wait for cartoons on the weekend. Just turn on Netflix and watch cartoons for like 8 hours straight. It's ridiculous. What is this world coming to, you guys? Of course, I guess I could boycott those platforms and just not get it for them. But then I wouldn't be able to binge and watch stuff for 8 hours and fulfill my own lack of patience for gratification. He's got a great face. I think this actor is going to be so good as Thom. Like he's going to be so good, honestly. I'm actually like super excited about the casting. Oh, you know what was super exciting for me today, you guys, was Marcus Rutherford commented on my painting on Instagram, and he was like, "That's amazing," and that's like, it just makes me excited. It makes me happy, not because like whatever. It's just I feel like it's kind of like if somebody got really excited about, well, when anybody comments positively on my work, it makes me happy, and I feel like for these actors, it must be frustrating right now having like to pause production and then, you know, just being so close to being done season 1 filming and then everything's kind of on hold. So I kind of was like, oh, that's cool. And I feel like maybe for them, it's a bit of like like for him, I don't know, maybe it was like a little bit of like a fun kind of thing where he's like, oh, that's cool. And people kind of, maybe they feel like people kind of get to see them as the characters, even though there's no footage out yet, which has been the whole mission with all this stuff. But that was fun. It was special. Okay, so this obviously is gonna. He looks kind of like Colonel Sanders or something right now. He's gonna need a lot of like tweaking here. I'm gonna have to do some measurements on his face to get things looking right. He looks a little bit like overly elderly right now. Like he's gonna go back to the nursing home after he's done juggling. I'm gonna have to take some time and fix this. And I'm not gonna do it on stream. It's gonna take a bit of time here. The structure and stuff's not quite right, but that's funny. One of these days on a stream, I think I should do one where I just dive like headlong into just painting. Just start straight painting, which is something that I've done before. And I kind of like skip the drawing part and just go straight to painting. You can kind of see me just like whittle and mush and push things around until it starts to look like something. Anyways, I think I'm gonna pause it there for now and just see if there's anything in the feed, and we'll have a quick chat before I shut it down here. That's gonna be fun. I'm happy with the with my reference choices and kind of the dynamics of the pose and stuff. I think it's gonna be really a fun piece. Thanks, Veronica. I was happy with the Perrin and Hopper piece. It was a challenge, but I was really happy with how it turned out. I'll take my time on this one for sure. Yeah, I tend to paint with white instead of erasing stuff. I think it's just quick. I don't have to. It's actually quicker to just switch to white than to switch to a tool. To switch back and forth between the brush and the eraser is a little faster for me. And Hot Thom, as we call him. Yeah, he'd be kind of a hot Thom. It's true. I think once they well, I mean, I don't know what makes a guy hot, but I think I was gonna say once they put him in all of his gray hair and stuff, he might hot down a little bit. He might cool off just enough to be closer to what we imagine from the books, but maybe not. He's got that dashing smile and those eyes, so I don't know. Moraine called him Hot Thom, yeah. Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, he secured Moraine's love. That's saying something for sure. Well, thanks, Triax. I appreciate you guys joining me and bearing with me through my technical problems. I'll try to get things smoother next time. I don't know. But thanks very much for joining me on the live stream. I will, again, as I said, be working on this one. If you haven't already, I would appreciate it if you go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps. And if you want to, if you haven't, I think you probably all follow me on the other social medias. But if you're watching this and you don't, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter. And it's just Corey Lansdell on both of those. And then I do have a Patreon page, and I've got a couple of great supporters there. And I really appreciate people taking an interest in my process and in my creative journey, and would invite you to come and be a part of that there too if you like. And I enjoyed this. This was fun. Thanks everybody for jumping in. Sawana, it was great to see you here. Matt, Lauren, you guys, thanks very much. And Veronica and MK, everybody, Meter Droid, you guys are awesome. So thanks very much for spending some time with me this afternoon or evening, depending where you're at. And I'll check in with you guys next time. And until then, you guys, you be good to each other, okay? Take care. I'll see you later.